innocent grandeur of God. The grandeur of your true being is also innocent. Grandeur is sometimes regarded as larger than life, and that is verily true. But when you add innocence, it brings the grandeur into a holiness that is beyond description. Grandeur is what you might feel when you see something like the Grand Canyon, and then to realize that that same description is for every beloved, the grandeur of God's light. There's nothing in grandeur that is earned. There is nothing in grandeur that is proven. And there is no competition in grandeur, nor is there any competition in innocence. To accept what is to renounce the belief in pride and to renounce the belief in fear. Neither pride nor fear, and pride comes from fear, but it can't exist. It can't exist within the realm of the grandeur and the innocence and the perfection. So it is eventually deserted, let go, renounced even. And it's the humility of accepting your grandeur is also part of the healing. It is not pride, it is not arrogance that accepts grandeur. It is humility, because it is ordinary. It is not more than all creation. It is in complete equality and oneness. So much so that everywhere you look and everyone you meet is that innocent grandeur, that ordinary grandeur of God. Imagine what a fiasco the journey of Jesus would have been if he would have believed in pride or the grandiosity of his journey, his calling. Nothing would have healed. Everyone would have stayed without the awareness of love. And everyone would have held the shame and the guilt that is still being struggled with. The shame and the guilt of hatred. But thank God that the masters that have come to serve humanity embody the simplicity of grandeur. and the innocence of love. That is why everyone turns to them. That is what draws the heart. That yearning to be free of the pain, the attack of pride, the pain of trying to prove your worth. All the masters are always inviting everyone to return to humility, return to the beauty and the grandeur of your true self, your spirit, your light, your innocence. This innocence, this grandeur, this perfection is not personal. If it were personal, then it could be separated out. And personally, some would get it, and personally, some wouldn't. But you are already that. It is not something that you are developing. It is what you are remembering. It is what is from all creation, for all eternity. You have been that. And it's just meeting it, remembering it, embracing it, and at the same time, renouncing, discarding, turning away from all of the lies of the ego that is always determined to do whatever it takes for every beloved to experience themselves as separate, different, having different levels, different degrees of goodness, and none of that is true at all. So in this moment, the acceptance of innocence and grandeur, and let the spirit of love teach you how to embody that exquisite light, how to walk in the world in love, as love. The healing is every moment. The learning is every moment. This is the schoolroom, not the building. Walking in this world is the schoolroom of love. And perfection is here. Not a perfection of a perfectionist, the perfection of being that does not require or invite the perfectionist to join. The perfectionist is one of the elements that falls away, only because it is run by the fear and the belief that you're going to prove something. And you cannot improve on perfection. it's just to accept it. When you're in the prayer in the closet with God, and you are surrendering all of your secrets into the heart of God, you can surrender everything, all of the ideas of who you thought you were, of what the world has reflected, and how you saw yourself within the world, now given all to God. Begin again. Begin again with the truth. Let love show you the beauty, the perfection, the grandeur of your heart. In the healing, you will be called to expand. You will expand. You will expand because love expands. You will expand because there is nothing small of the truth of your divine heart. And it's here to learn to expand. Deeper and deeper and deeper. Love will take you. And love will do the expanding. You just are the happy learner that says yes. And love shows you the expansion. In this moment, holding the truth of love and affirming that this universe is truly all love, that there is nothing to battle with. All of the illusion of battle and ideas of the self will just dribble away. Not needed anymore for the battle that was believed in. There is one life force here. One divine life force is the presence of God. The life force of God is how we move and breathe and live truly in the grandeur of love. Allow that life force to expand. It has no limit. Acceptance. Accepting your innocence. And the innocence of all creation. And the equality of all creation. So perfect. In this moment, allow the grandeur to have its way with you. And the belief in grandiosity will fall away. The pride will fall away. Laughingly fall away because it will be seen for its upside downness that never could prove anything. allowing this prayer to take you into the innocence, to let it wash over you and be the prayer of your heart. Oh, teach me to open my heart to those who come here to be healed. Teach me to open my heart to this love, to heal all this pain of this world. We have strayed from the love of our Father and wandered in pain since our birth. It was Jesus who came here to save us all, to release all the pain here on earth. Oh, my mother, the queen of the sea, it's your love that I feel inside me. Teach me to love from the depth of my heart, to heal all the pain that I see. My Father is here with his love. He knows how to care for us all. He loves everyone who has come to this path, all those who have answered this call. Teach me to open my heart. This is a prayer that can be said all day long. Teach me to open my heart. Teach me because I must learn. I must learn to open the heart, and I cannot make an assumption that I know how to open the heart because I have no relationship with opening the heart. That's what gets recognized in the humility. Teach me to open my heart because I don't know. And when you pray and ask, teach me to open my heart, you're automatically stepping into a place of humility because you have acknowledged that you don't know how. And the Holy Spirit is aware that when we're walking in the journey, particularly sparked by wanting to remember, we don't know anything. We don't know anything about the truth. We don't know anything about how to be that light. But thank God, all the teachers show up and show the way. Teach me to open my heart. This hymn I have sung so many times because every time it's sung, it is a reminder, it is a truth that brings the beingness of humility completely into this moment. To walk with a teacher that is the radiance of humility is the perfect schoolroom of the moment because it goes beyond words, it goes beyond how is this possible? It just radiates and offers love. And this prayer has that same vibration. Here I am, declaring the love within my heart. Here I want to affirm the love of our mother. I am here forever to love. Here in this school of love, I have come to give thanks to all divine beings. Within this light, the light of the Divine Mother, I am here praising the truth and never to aggrandize myself. I have been small with the size of my awareness of love. But within this light, I am shown that I am all love. To love together with all beloveds, all of us going together and praising God. Here within this power, we must give thanks, the power of love that is radiating in this moment, giving thanks to our mother and father and the healing that is available and that we are receiving goes directly to the heart as we learn to love and learn to give thanks. Eu aqui vou seguindo, declarando o amor dentro do meu coração. Eu aqui quero afirmar o amor de nossa mãe, para sempre eu amar. Aqui, na escola do amor, eu venho agradecer a todos os seres divinos dentro da luz de nossa mãe, para sempre vou louvar e nunca me agradecer. Sou pequeno do tamanho do amor para dentro dessa luz. O grande amor é poder ser, amar junto com os meus irmãos, todos nós seguindo juntos, e o Deus poder louvar. Aqui dentro do poder, devemos agradecer a nosso Pai, a nossa Mãe, as curas que vamos recebendo dentro do coração, amando e agradecendo. Giving thanks. Giving thanks for every moment. The realization that everything is for learning is the realization that everything then becomes a moment of gratitude. To have no opinion about the form that the teaching shows up in. The form has no good or bad to it. It is neutral, as everything of the temporary is neutral. And the only thing that can be brought to it is the blessings of learning. There's a beautiful teaching that says it takes great learning to realize that everything is the opportunity of learning. And its value is only commensurate to the learning that is possible. That is its value. How can that be that within the world, that's where the value is. And yet it is, because it's a complete shift out of a delusional world of good and bad and right and wrong and more and less and light and dark and all of that, all to the value, the preciousness of every learning, that each day has the potential, and as each night has the potential of being the catalyst to your remembering everything. What if you took a dish out of the cabinet, and as you took that dish out of the cabinet, you had the realization of oneness? All of a sudden, you were one with the plate that you just took out of the cabinet. Maybe it lasts for 5 seconds. But in that 5 seconds, you have that awareness that you are one with this plate. Would you exchange opening that cabinet and getting a plate out for something else? No, it's the moment, and it's perfect. And each moment that is held in that regard, that it is the moment of learning, becomes exquisite. And the day becomes exquisite because everything is for love. Everything is for learning. There's nothing to report. There's nothing to write even in a journal. It's perfect. It's perfect because of the value that came from it, the learning. So every beloved has the opportunity to wake up every morning and recognize this is the day of learning. How exquisite. And the learning is exquisite. You will learn about the truth of your being, and you will learn what you are not, and what has been carried as an illusion of a self-identified person. The person starts to unravel. Thank God. And the light begins to get stronger and stronger and pushes through the self-imagery. And the grace and the blessings are there because you're willing. When you are willing, everything is possible. Every beloved has had the same awareness or experience of, when I am willing, everything opens. Maybe not as the ego would want it to be, but it opens. Your willingness is the power that has been given to you by the Holy Spirit for your remembering, because your willingness is essential. And the more willing, the more fluid and more direct the learning. That's the power that you have. Thank God. And thank God it is a choice. This is going to maybe sound familiar because I've used it recently, and it's just calling for a review, a revisit. That shapes the eye. Children can easily open the drawer that lets the spirit rise up and wear its favorite costume of mirth and laughter. When the mind is consumed with the remembrance of God, something divine happens to the heart that shapes the hand and tongue and eye into the word love. That shapes the hand and tongue and eye into the word love. Who are these children that can easily open a drawer that lets the spirit rise and wear its favorite costume of mirth and laughter? Who are these children? The children are the innocence, the grandeur and the innocence. That is who opens the drawer that lets the spirit rise and wear its favorite costume of mirth and laughter. When the mind is consumed with the remembrance of God, something divine happens to the heart. That's absolutely true. That shapes the hand and tongue and eye into the word love, because the innocence of the child begins at the beginning. Come as little children to love. Why is that a teaching? Come as little children. Because every beloved that opens to the spiritual journey, that feels that calling, has a healing to walk through. The healing is just the letting go of a false identity. But the child, the innocent child, cannot live with the arrogance of the ego, the identity of the ego. The innocent child is waiting for the willingness of the unraveling of the false self, so that the innocent child can come forward, can be discovered. It's a whole new world, that innocent child grandeur, perfection. And it can't cooperate with the arrogance of the ego, the self-made identity. It just can't. They can't coexist. This is a schoolroom of love, and in the schoolroom of love, with every relationship, with every situation, you're being called to let your innocence have the center stage. But that center stage doesn't look anything like the center stage that the ego uses. The ego uses a whole system that has been developed, learned from the moment of incarnation. You've had to learn an identity. Some of it you made along the way, some of it you accepted as part of a bigger identity of a tribe. But in the journey of love, you are letting it all go. So how do you walk in this world with other beloveds, with situations, when you're in an incubation period? You're in a birthing period. How do you walk in this world? The hymn that I didn't sing, sister, brother, go very, very slowly to not mistake your path. Be careful with your pride. Be careful with the vanity. This prayer was offered because it's so necessary to walk very, very slowly. And how is that possible? Sometimes within this journey of learning, the relationships that you've had in the past become very new, because you can't take anything with you from the past. You're shedding an entire identity. You're surrendering an entire identity to let it be dissolved. And you're trusting in that journey of shedding this identity that Spirit is leading you, that Spirit is with you, that your guides are with you, and that will redirect you when it's helpful to be redirected. And you may find an awkwardness that you didn't have before. There is something about the identity, as painful as it is, the ego identity, even in its painfulness, it promotes pride. It promotes acting self-assured. It promotes believing that you will know a lot and that you're going to be the knower, and you want to be more knowledgeable than whoever else is part of the equation. All of this urge, all of this is all addiction. You can feel the addiction of it because it's automatic and it pulls. It's like if there are 5 beloveds sitting and one starts speaking about accomplishment, you can feel the urge inside that wants to either run or wants to do a show and tell of accomplishments. And love is calling the truth of you to step back and realize that there is nothing to prove. And that becomes one of the first places that you see, oh, this is a different life. This is a completely different life. I can't take my identity of illusion of who I thought I was. I can't take that and insert humility into it and make it different. I have to let the entire identity unravel. And in that unraveling, you're a stranger in a strange land. You don't fit into the box that you used to fit in. Now, some beloveds ignore that awareness that you don't fit, and make a spiritual ego. The spiritual ego says, I can use my old identity, toss in some ideas and some words, and speak spiritually, but it's still the personality, the identity that's running and just trying to make a shift. And that becomes actually painful at some point, because it isn't the truth of who you are. Now, when I say it isn't the truth of who you are, we don't know. When we're walking in that journey, we don't know how, I don't know who I am. I remember saying that 1,000 times. I have not a clue who I am. There's a shakiness. There's a sense of how to navigate. And that's why it's essential to have the Holy Spirit and the guides there to help, because it's confusing. It's disconcerting to not have your old personality to count on. I used to call it the song and dance. And I had a great song and dance. Even with all the fear that I believed in, I could conjure up a great song and dance. And then it wasn't working. It could have still worked, but I could not walk the spiritual journey with the song and dance. What the spiritual journey was calling me to in the everyday, in the relationships with the world, was a humility that I had no clue how to be with. And I don't know that encompassed everything. And there was kind of a screaming that would go on within of, what am I going to have left? What am I just going to be completely ignorant and not know anything? Where is God taking me? What the realization came to was that everything that I had thought that I knew was worth nothing. Absolutely nothing. And the surrender of it opened the space for the heart to expand, and for the defenselessness to be the center. It shed an identity of wanting to prove, particularly to some more than others, but proving all the time. It shed that element of proving, of winning, of being accepted. Who was I trying to be accepted by? In the spiritual community, the spiritual ego could still be pretty in charge. For a while, trying to say spiritual things to others who were on the same spiritual journey, trying to fit in, and then realizing, well, that sneaky little ego is doing exactly the same thing as it did before. It's just now doing it with a spiritual context. Back to the surrender. Back to the surrender, back to the realization, I don't know. And sometimes it was painful. Not because it was God's pain or that healing is painful, but because of the resistance and the fear that it would activate. How many times did I sit with other beloveds and I had nothing that I could say? Because everything that would begin to be said was a lie. The Holy Spirit sometimes would teach me right then and there, sitting with others and wanting to participate and realizing that everything that was trying to come out of my mouth was a lie, was couched in some old identity. So I became a very quiet learner. Not because I would be demoted or because I would be reprimanded by the Holy Spirit or anything else, but because of the realization that I had to learn and begin again like a child. I had to be the child that was learning. I had to come to each relationship, to each situation with the humility of, I really don't know. I don't know how to interact. I don't know how to offer love. I don't know how to rest in God in this moment and be at peace and not have to prove something. It was then and in those situations that I would see the insidiousness of the pride, to see the insidiousness of the false identity in its addiction. And that I couldn't put it on anyone else as I had done so well in the past. In the belief of the world, you believe that you are at the effect of everything that is going on outside. That is our agreement of belief within the world, that we are just reactors. And then we take that reaction and we try to prove something, try to hold our own. And we're trying to be loved through a false way of being that has no way that you're going to find love, because it's all the belief of scarcity and the belief that there is a battle going on. That's why the Holy Spirit breaks everything down so that each element of healing becomes clear. How to open your heart. In my defenselessness, I can open my heart. But that's the opposite of what the world teaches. The world teaches that you protect your heart by being defended and to defend your identity. Defend your worth. Defend your grandiosity. Defend your pride. Love is calling you in a completely unrelated place, has no relationship to that defense system. But the situation is the same. The form stays the same. That's the most amazing thing about the spiritual journey, is that the outside doesn't change, except when you start opening your heart and then you start seeing everything through love. The form's still kind of the same, but you're seeing past the form and you're connecting with the truth of love. Each beloved has so much learning, and at the top of the list of learning is that there is nothing outside your own mind. That there is absolutely nothing in this world that can affect you except for your own mind. That everything that you have a reaction to is a result of your own projection. Now, this can't be understood in the sense of making sense, and yet when you begin to embrace that there's nothing outside my mind, that's when the healing really gets deep. Because all the time wasted on believing that it's out there and trying to change it from the outside, all of that goes away. And now the healing really gets strong because you found the source of the problem. It's just the mind. It's just the beliefs of what you think you see and what you think you know. In the humility of love, you no longer can project the pain and the suffering and the fears that have run before. As you accept that you are not here to be defended, you're here to become undefended, and that there's nothing to defend against, then the learning expands and expands. The healing expands, the lightening, the unburdening of the past. How do you communicate in this new way? And in a spiritual journey with beloveds who are wanting that truth and are seeking the truth of love, it's like being in kindergarten and meeting these little children for the first time. And nobody knows how to act or what to say. It's all new. And in that quiet place of that newness is the opportunity of the quiet, the stillness that then allows what will be helpful to say or do to come into this moment. And you find yourself speaking completely differently, not as a holier than thou, look how holy I am, but in a place of peace that has nothing attached to it that wants to prove anything. How many times, and everybody has had this, how many times, it could be 10,000, that you find yourself in some kind of gathering, and you find yourself being very particular about what it is that you want to extend. Because the prayer comes to you, the Hafiz prayer comes to you, I do not want to touch anything in this world without seeing the truth of my beloved. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to bring anything that is not helpful. That is a place within each beloved's journey that becomes the catalyst for such deep healing. It's not a painful place in the sense of not having anything to say or that you're waiting for what might be helpful. Your heart is just speaking. But there's a consciousness that wasn't there before. You're actually aware of what you're offering. You're aware of it because it's what you want, and you're willing to go very, very slowly to not mistake what would be most helpful. It's not a pressure. There's no one keeping score. It's just within you that you want to be truly helpful. And the truly helpful have high regard for what is offered. It's a learning, but it's a learning that has to unravel, and the personality that was built out of the defense starts to disintegrate. Thank God. It starts to disintegrate. But for a while, you don't know exactly who you are, what you are. But it's all right to be in that place, because you're held. You're held by love. You're held by the masters. You're held by all the guides. You're held by love. You're held by me. You're held. You're held in the truth so that you can navigate. Is this different than being born into incarnation, of coming through the birth canal and squeezing through and coming into this form? No, it feels about as intense like that. But it's not to worry about it. It's to surrender every moment to the Holy Spirit, to healing and to learning, so that every time you have a holy encounter, you have the full intention of bringing only what is most helpful. And it has absolutely nothing to do with what you thought you knew. If any thoughts come up of what you thought it might be, and they come up quick, you can be guaranteed it's the ego. The ego speaks loudest and it speaks first, which is exactly why in the spiritual journey, it becomes a kind of a stepping back and waiting for what's going to be most helpful. It's a quiet place. It's a gentle place. It's a blessed place. The learning that you have with beloveds who are not in the spiritual journey is not easier, and it's not harder. It's just not the same vibration for a while. And you have to learn to be with beloveds who are not called spiritually, and yet their yearning is still there. And you are still the light that is coming, the innocent light that is coming to bless and bring peace and joy to that moment. Not with necessarily what you're saying or doing, but just your heart, your willingness to be that innocent grandeur of God, to be that child. Does it feel vulnerable to be the child in a group of adults that all get to keep their personalities and you're the only one maybe that's shedding the skin? You can make that comparison, but it's not going to help you. It's just going to give you the pretense of more separation. You're the blessed light of God, and you're there to bring peace. You're there to bring kindness. You're there to bring joy. Not in proving anything, but just in opening your heart. What if you're sitting with a beloved and there's nothing to say for quite a while? And everything in you is screaming, I don't like this. I don't like this quiet. I don't like being here with what is. And then you get to see that habit of the past that wants to fill the space, wants to be a personality or have an identity. And everyone, because there are no original thoughts. Every thought that everyone has had, everyone has had. That's actually amazing, but it's true. With every encounter, there is an unconscious thought that's running behind that is wanting to prove worth. Sometimes it's kind of little and sometimes it's bigger in its intensity. But it just is part of the shedding of an identity. And it comes up and it can be strong and really wants your attention. You have nothing to prove, and that is the moment of stepping back again and beginning again, because there's nothing to prove, there's nothing to get, and there's only love to offer, only love to offer. I will receive whatever I request. I will receive whatever I request is really saying to every beloved, there's nothing outside. Whatever I'm believing in, I will see reflected. And I will have the opportunity of healing and bringing healing to humanity through that acceptance. Whatever I believe in, I will see. I will receive whatever I request. You can be guaranteed that whatever shows up for you is by your request. The beauty of that is that you then have the opportunity of saying, oh, well, I've changed my mind. I must have requested that, but I can see now that that was not a helpful place to go and request anything. That whatever I'm seeing is not helpful, and there's no truth in it. I must change my mind. I must change my mind and truly begin again. Judith, you need some help? Yeah? You want to go lay down in my bed? No? We're going to close in this moment. One heart.